Over the past 10 years, there's been a lot of activity in the field of leadership development. A lot of research has been done, hundreds if not thousands of books have been written. Many may think that it's just another management fad that will eventually fade away. But I think it's here to stay, so I'd like to take a minute or two to explain what leadership is and why it's important for your organization. In a nutshell, leadership is about getting people to want to contribute to getting things done in your organization. And the key word here is want. People can't be forced to identify new opportunities, nor can they be forced to develop innovative solutions. That happens best when they feel connected to the mission and vision and values of their organization and have a personal desire to see the company succeed. And this means that leadership is an action and not a position. It's a set of behaviors. Effective leaders create an environment that make people want to contribute. Now there's three main reasons why leadership, now more than ever, is so critical to your success. Three reasons why it's imperative that every employee in your company wants to contribute. And the three are change, knowledge, and a shift in power. For most of the last 100 years, the pace and depth of change were stable and predictable enough that the traditional command and control management model could deliver results. Senior management had access to sufficient knowledge for strategic planning, and they had the power to execute the strategy. And the world changed slowly enough that by the time the strategy was completed, it was still relevant to implement. But what are you experiencing now? If you're like most, globalization and the internet have rocked your world. Change is fast, unpredictable, and merciless. Look what the iPod did to the CD industry, and what the internet is doing to newspapers and the ad industry, and how quickly both happened. How are your employees coping with this change? How will you ensure your organization is sufficiently agile to handle this kind of change? Now, what about knowledge? It's been said that there's been more information produced in the last 30 years than during the previous 5,000, and that it's doubling in less than every 2 years. Today, knowledge is cheaply available to everyone. That means what used to be your competitive advantage might now be shared by your competitors. And it also means that your next best idea could come from any employee. How will you ensure that they bring that idea forward? And if knowledge is power, what has happened to power? Those who before had access to control and manipulate knowledge have lost their exclusive advantage. Today, knowledge is becoming the great equalizer. Susan Boyle and Paul Potts, those two British Idol winners, they're no longer at the mercy of music publishing executives because YouTube let the world decide on their talent level. As knowledge becomes more accessible to everyone, it shifts the power to innovate from a select few to the many. How will you tap into that in a systematic way? So, if to thrive today, we need agile, resilient employees who can handle constant change and who think up and share innovative ideas and who use their own power and initiative to achieve results, then we need to create an environment that attracts those kinds of people and then keeps them engaged and motivated. We need to create an environment that keeps them wanting to contribute. Developing high-quality leaders in your organization will enable you to do just that. Let me share a little story with you to illustrate the power of an employee who wants to contribute. A room attendant in a Toronto luxury hotel goes into the room to turn down the bed for evening service. The consultant is sitting at the desk at his laptop working away, and the room attendant asks him how he's doing this evening. Well, he says, I'm not too happy because my little 4-year-old daughter out in Vancouver is going out tonight for her first Halloween. And I would rather be there than here, but because of business meetings, I have to be here. The room attendant commiserates and says she's sorry to hear that, finishes her work, and bids the guest a good night. But she doesn't leave it there. She goes downstairs, she finds the front office manager, she tells the tale to him, who discreetly contacts the wife in Vancouver, has her email a photograph of the little girl in her Halloween leopard suit. He frames it in a silver frame, and when the consultant comes home that night from his business meeting, he finds a picture of his 4-year-old daughter in her Halloween costume sitting on his nightstand. Now consider, if you will, two things about this story. First, how many people do you think that consultant told his story to? And what do you think is the marketing and branding value of that word-of-mouth advertising? Second, and more importantly, that moment of truth happened on the front line where no manager was present to witness the opportunity. It could just as easily have come and gone without anyone taking the right action. So how do we ensure that people will seize opportunities when there's no manager around? The answer is to capture their minds and hearts through the quality of your leadership, to create an environment that leaves people wanting to do the right thing. If your leaders live the values of your organization and motivate everyone to envision and achieve a better future, employees will follow. And better yet, sometimes they will take the lead when necessary, just like that room attendant did. Now, of course, this doesn't happen overnight. It's quite simple, but it's also quite difficult. Yet when you implement a structured, measurable leadership development program, your organization begins to experience a special energy, a buzz, a sense of urgency, and an environment of possibility and accomplishment that gets extraordinary results from ordinary people.